Hey everybody, David here, and this is another Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition mechanics tutorial. And this particular tutorial, we are going to go over all of the standard actions from A to Z and talk about several also that would trigger other things. Now, when you get a turn in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, you get what is called a standard action, and you get movement, and a possible bonus action. So in this video only, we're going to talk about the standard actions. There will be another video that will discuss movement, all kinds of optional stuff, bonus actions, and free actions. So in this video, like I said, we're just going to primarily concentrate on the standard actions. So the first one and the most used action is the attack action. And this is where you're going to swing a sword, swing a great maul, two-handed, maybe fire an arrow from a bow, maybe from a hand crossbow, or maybe a monk's going to be brawling unarmed attack with his fist. So with this action, you can make one melee or ranged attack. So you would do a d20 plus whatever stat you would be using, plus your proficiency if you're proficient in that type of weapon. Now, when you take the attack action, it is going to open up certain features that you're possibly going to be able to use, such as extra attack for, say, the fighter, the ranger, or maybe a archetype like the Bard College of Valor, or maybe even the War Priest Cleric. That'll give you an extra attack. Now, whenever you take the attack action, you can also do grappling and shoving, which we'll get into as well. Now, also, if you are a two-weapon fighter and you want to get that attack with your offhand, even if it's a right or left hand offhand attack, then you would have to take the standard attack action, and we'll go over two-weapon fighting right now. So you would have to take that attack action, and then you would be eligible to use your bonus action to attack with your offhand. Now, take into consideration you only get one bonus action per turn. Alright, so two-weapon fighting. When you take the attack action and attack with a light labeled melee weapon that you're holding in one hand, either or, you can use your bonus action, as I just stated, to attack with a different light melee weapon that you're holding in the opposite hand. Now, whenever you do two-weapon fighting, and whenever you attack with the other hand, your second hand, your offhand, then you do not add the ability modifier to damage. Unless you have something like a weapon fighter. You would take the fighter at level 1 gets a special fighter skill that you can choose between two weapons or great weapons, so you could actually get your bonus damage in there for two weapon fighting. So just take a look at level 1 fighting style. So if either weapon has a thrown property, you can also throw the weapon instead of making a melee attack. So it's pretty nice. It gives you the option of hand axes away if you want to. Alright, so we also mentioned grappling. Grappling is also used with the attack action. And this is where you make a special attack with a grapple or a grab. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to target someone. You're going to say that you're grappling him, and it can be no more than one size larger than you. So most races in D&D 5e are medium, except for the exception of like the gnome and halfling. They're small. So you can only grapple or grab something that is one size larger than you. Now when you do this, you can use one hand or you can use two hands, and you're going to have to do a contest. Now your contest, as it states here, you are going to use your strength athletics, which it would be a normal strength check, but if you are proficient in athletics, then you will be able to add in your proficiency. Now, that check will be contested by the target's strength athletics or dexterity acrobatics. And, depending on the creature, if the DM is controlling this as an NPC or monster, then the DM can choose the highest. So if you succeed and win the contest, then you will give that creature the grappled condition. And the conditions we're not going to go over the conditions here. So the condition specifies the thing that end it, and you can release the target whenever you like. So it's basically a free action. You can just say, okay, I let go of the creature. Now there's two things that go along with grappling also. There's escaping from this grapple, and then you can move the grappled creature also. So if you want to escape from the grappled creature, that creature can use its action to break free. And to do so, it's basically going to do the same thing that you just did to it. And it's going to use its strength with athletics or dexterity and acrobatics versus your strength athletics check. So if it succeeds the contest, it basically uses its action and it breaks free. Alright? Now, if you are grappling a creature, you can move that creature. Now, when you move, you can drag and carry the grappled creature with you, but your movement is halved. So take, for instance, if you have a movement of 30 feet, you can only move that grappled creature 15. But you can move it. There's no other test required to move it. All right, so you can definitely move it. Now, take into consideration also, if the creature is 2 or more sizes smaller than you, then you don't even lose half movement. You can move up to your movement, which is really nice. Secondly, with the attack action, you can also shove a creature. Now, when you shove a creature, you are also using the attack action, and this is where you can, if you're successful shoving the creature, you have two choices. You can knock it prone, or you can push it away, and pushing is straight back. It's not moving to the side to side. That's more optional stuff in the Dungeon Master's Guide, which will be in another video. So whenever, this is basically working the same, the same way as grapple. So whenever you use your attack action, you say, I'm going to shove this creature. I need to push this orc out of the way. You're going to go ahead and use your attack action, do a roll. You're going to do the same thing as you did with a grapple. You're going to do your strength, athletics, contested against that target's strength or athletics, or acrobatics, dexterity, whatever's higher for the creature. If you win the contest, piece of cake. Now, when you win, like I said, you have the choice of knocking it prone, where it stands, or you push it 5 feet or 1 square away from you. Piece of cake. So that is everything to do with the attack action. It is the most used action in the game. And that's coupled along with casting a spell, which is the next one we're going to discuss. So spellcasters such as wizards and clerics, as well as many other monsters, special archetypes, they can cast spells. Hybrid classes like the Paladin, the Ranger, and also specialty classes like the Eldritch Knight Fighter and the Arcane Trickster Rogue, they can use cast a spell. And this is where each spell has a casting time, and if you meet the verbal, somatic, material components, you can cast a spell as long as it's one action. Now, whenever you use this action, you're going to possibly the target's going to need to make a saving throw, or maybe you have to do an attack roll against that creature's armor class. Say if you're going to be using Eldritch Blast, then you would do a d20 plus your proficiency plus your spell casting modifier that would involve casting the spell. So also, you need to take into consideration that all of the spellcasting rules are in Chapter 10 in the Player's Handbook. We're not going to go over any casting rules here. I've already got another tutorial with spellcasting rules in it. So, there you go. One action. Now take into consideration one other optional thing, one little side note here that a lot of people get confused with casting spells in D&D 5e, is the bonus action spell. This is in the spellcasting rules, but I feel that it's pretty important, and I would like to also mention it here. Now, if you want to cast, there's not a lot of bonus action spells. We'll take, for instance, the cleric has Healing Word. It is a bonus action to cast. So, if the cleric wants to heal someone that's within the range of Healing Word, that cleric can use a spell slot, cast Healing Word on the creature. It takes one bonus action, and you can use your action, your bonus action, your movement in any way, any order. So you use your bonus action, and now say you want to move, you want to run. So you can run up there and say, oh, I want to cast heal too because my Healing Word didn't heal for enough. You can't do that, because if you use a bonus action spell, you can cast another spell, but it can only be a cantrip. So that's in Chapter 10 in the spellcasting rules. And I wanted to just kind of emphasize it here because it's actually something that is overlooked quite often in D&D 5e. Not only that I've seen it in my games, but other games that I've watched on streams before, and also videos on YouTube. So we're going to go next, we're going to go ahead and go to the dash action. Now when you take the dash action, you're going to gain extra movement for your turn that you're on. Now, the extra movement for this turn is going to basically double your running speed. For example, if you have a movement speed of 30 feet, then if you use the dash action, then you'll be able to move up to 60 feet with your dash. Now, take into consideration, some classes like the monk will get increases to speed over time. Maybe sometimes you will be in an area of difficult terrain where the entire grid or the entire map that you're visualizing with Theater of Mind is all, difficult terrain. So that means that your speed would be halved, which would be 15 from 30. So if you use dash, then you can get back up to your normal movement at 30. So it makes sense, it's logical, it definitely makes sense. But if you're a monk, maybe you'll have a 60-foot movement around. You can get 120 with dash. It's just crazy the amount of movement that a monk can get. And you can attack, move, attack, move. So you're not just stuck. Once you use your move in other editions of Dungeons and Dragons and other games, you were done once you move, but not in D&D. That's such a powerful tool is movement in D&D 5e, and I really love it, and I like the way that they took movement. Next is Disengage. Now there's a lot of confusion with Disengage as well. Now when you take the Disengage action, your movement does not provoke opportunity attacks for the rest of the turn. So, hey, that's all fine and dandy. So you take the standard action, Disengage, you can move. You're in a defensive posture, you can move away from as many creatures as you would like, as long as you're not blocked in. So make sure when you use Disengage, don't forget to have movement left, because you have to move to provoke. So if you don't move, you're not going to provoke. And if you ate up all your movement, charging in, then and if you attack, you're not going to be able to disengage because you've already used your standard action to attack. So don't forget, Disengage is a standard action, unless you're like a rogue that gets a bonus action called Cunning Action, which we're not even going to get into in this video. Disengage, standard action. Make sure you have movement left. That is so important. So important. I've seen so many people not have movement try to disengage, and it just didn't work. Next, we're going to talk about dodge. I would love to see players use dodge more. And this is so powerful, and a lot of people and a lot of players just don't realize how powerful dodge is. So when you take the dodge action, you focus entirely on avoiding attacks, and until the start of your next turn, any attack roll made against you has disadvantage if you can see the attacker. That means anybody attacking you with a weapon, melee weapon, anyone casting a spell at you that is versus your armor class, any spell that is any weapon that's a ranged weapon like a bow, short bow, long bow, hand crossbow, any attack will have disadvantage as long as you can visually see that creature. Disadvantage. Now that takes an action, but still, that's very, very, very powerful. Now, you're also going to get advantage on dexterity saving throws as well. Meaning, if Merlin the Wizard throws that fireball at you, you're going to have advantage on that dexterity saving throw. Or if he shoots a lightning bolt at you, you're going to have advantage on that dexterity saving throw. So, dodge needs to be used more, people. Dodge is such a powerful action. Sure, if you're surrounded by creatures, don't worry about attacking. Your players can help you. Your party members can help you. Take that dodge action. Any attack roll. That's really nice. So, you can lose the dodge effect if you are incapacitated. So if basically you go unconscious, or any other tag that gives you incapacitation, or if your speed drops to 0, then you'll lose dodge. Like I said, dodge is very powerful. Now the next one is also hardly ever used. It's actually, I think help is probably less used than dodge. And help is when you lend your aid to another creature in the completion of a task. When you take the help action, the creature you aid gains advantage on the next ability check it makes to perform the task you're helping with, provided that it makes a check before the start of your next turn. I think that is great. You can actually assist someone doing a check. So if someone is doing we'll say that someone is doing something like trying to search a tomb, you can help search that tomb and have advantage with that. Maybe you want to, if you want to help with a medicine check, go for it. You can, bring your minds together. That would be great. Now, alternatively, you can add a friendly creature in attacking a creature within 5 feet of you. That is very powerful. So if you want to help, say your fighter, your ranger, or any other class that's attacking a creature, you can use the help action and grant that person attacking, as long as it's before your next turn, the other player will have advantage. That's really nice. So this is where you're basically going to be distracting the target, throwing your hands up, trying to distract it, feint at it, and basically cause role play for your game. And I think the help action, not only for assisting with skill checks, is a great way to not enforce, but a great way to add role play for combat as well. I think that would be a great way to add to it. I really do. And one more thing about help: if the person that you're helping or aiding or helping has extra attack, then you're only going to aid for the first attack. But still, that first attack is going to have advantage. Really nice. So let's go ahead and go to hide next. There's a huge bit of confusion with the hide action. Now this is when you take the hide action, you will make a Dexterity stealth check in an attempt to hide, following the rules in Chapter 7 for hiding. We're not going to go over the rules for Chapter 7 hiding, because we could literally take and spend an entire 15 minutes talking about stealth, hiding, and invisibility. There's, like I said, there's a huge misconception with what hiding or stealth does in D&D 5e. It is so much different than invisibility. A lot of people think hiding is, bam, you just vanish. It's not. Hiding, like it says Chapter 7, you're using the shadows to your advantage. Okay? So you need to go to Chapter 7, read the optional rules for hiding, or watch my tutorial on hide versus stealth versus invisibility. Now, if you succeed and you meet all of the, if you meet all the, whatever your dungeon master comes up with, now if you meet all of his, requirements, then you can go ahead and gain the benefits as described in the Unseen Attackers. Now, you need to take into consideration, if you're engaged with players, then chances are your dungeon master is not going to allow you to hide. So, like I said, all of this is in Chapter 7 under hiding and stealth and all that stuff. So, hiding, really pay a little bit of attention to that, what you're trying to hide from. Big misconception between stealth and invisibility. Two totally different things. Next, let's talk about the ready standard action. This is where sometimes you may want to get to jump on a foe or wait for a particular circumstance before you act. Now, to do so, you can go ahead and declare you're taking a ready action on your turn, so you can act later in a round using your reaction. As long as you have a reaction left, you can ready an action. But if you ready an action and use your reaction on something else, like an opportunity attack or something, you've lost your readied action, because you can only take one reaction around. So be careful. If you're readying an action, make sure you're saving your reaction for that readied action. I've seen players take an attack of opportunity, and then, the creature's close to me, I attack. Well, I'm sorry, you've already used your reaction on the attack of opportunity. So be smart about that. Save your action for your readied action. Now, whenever you decide the perceivable circumstance that will trigger your reaction, you need to choose that. So an example is, if the cultist steps on the trap door, I want to pull the lever. If the cultist steps on a trapdoor, your action is pulling the lever. So, bam, you pull the lever. Cultist probably has to make a dexterity saving throw into the trap that he goes. That's readying an action. You can also ready an action for the first creature coming around the corner. You can ready an attack action. And as soon as you see a creature there in front of you, reaction, standard action to attack. That's pretty much what readying an action is. So, when the trigger occurs, you take the reaction, which is the action, and remember, you got to have the reaction to take the action. And I'm not trying to confuse you, but that's just how it is. Now, you can ready a spell too. Now, you can cast it as normal, and you can, hold on to the energy of the spell before you release it, but you still have to have the trigger, and you have to concentrate on the spell, to cast a readied spell. Now, for example, if you already have a spell that needs concentration, and you can read about concentration in Chapter 10 of the spellcasting rules. Now, you can only keep one spell concentrated at a time, and it uses here, for example, if you're concentrating on the web spell, and then you want to ready a magic missile spell for the first goblin that comes around the corner, you want to blast it with 3 darts of magic missile, then as soon as you ready that, you're going to lose web. So that's your web spell gone. Now, you'll be readying magic missile. So say if you get hit from behind, that's going to require a concentration check, because now you're concentrating on saving the spell and emptying its magic towards something that's going to trigger your reaction. So if you get hit, then the spellcasting rules is if you get hit, then you either have to do a DC 10 Constitution saving throw or the DC of the damage taken, whatever is higher. So just make sure you remember, if you get hit concentrating on holding a spell for a readied action, you need to make a concentration saving throw to make sure that you're still concentrating. Because if you fail the DC or the damage saving throw, then you lose your spell that you're readied. Okay, so there's readying action for melee, some kind of circumstances, with maybe a pit trap with someone, a cultist running on top of it, and also casting a spell. So there you go, that's ready. Now, search is another one. Search is a search action. This is where you devote your attention to finding something. So you can use your movement coupled with your action, and you can search for something. And depending on the nature of your search, the Dungeon Master might make you do a wisdom perception check, or maybe even an intelligence investigation. And what a good thing would be for search, a good example would be something like this. Say you are in a room, and then all of a sudden a magical barrier basically encompasses the room. Now you can use your search to find maybe a lever or a pressure plate on the floor that will stop this room from filling up with water or sand or whatever. So you could use your search action coupled with your movements, and bam, your Dungeon Master will give you you can do a perception check, investigation, whatever he or she wants you to do. Easy enough, simple enough. Sometimes you'll do the check, sometimes you may find something, sometimes you won't, but that's the chance that you take. And the last one is use an object. Now, you normally interact with an object while doing something else, such as when you're drawing a sword as part of an attack. Now, that's the great thing about Dungeons & Dragons 5e. There's so much flexibility coupled with movement. So as you're moving, you can pull your sword out. You can pull a potion out. Here's a bunch of things down here that's listed. A few examples of the sorts of things you can do in tandem with your movement and your standard action. Draw, sheath the sword. Open or close the door. Withdraw a potion from your backpack. Now, if you withdraw a potion from your backpack, that's when you're going to use an object action to drink the potion. Piece of cake. It's not like in other editions where you have to use a minor action to pull a potion out. It's literally part of your movement. You can pick up a dropped axe, take a bauble, remove a ring from your finger, stuff food into your mouth, plant a banner in the ground, so forth, so forth, so forth. And these do not take attacks of opportunity. Really nice. I love the way that they coupled interactions with objects with movement. It's so nice. Now, you might want to interact with an object with your action, and improvising an action perfect example, breaking down a door. Requires a strength check. Sometimes, hey, maybe your dungeon master will allow you to add in athletics if he or she wants you to. So you can do that as well. As part of your movement, you can run in and try to bash the door down. So that would be kind of improvising in action. And you can get creative. That gives you a great possibility to put roleplay into your game. So there you go. What do you guys think? These are all of the actions for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. These are the actions in the player's handbook and also in the free in the free PDF for the basic rules on the Wizards of the Coast website. Next video that you're going to see are all of the optional actions for D&D 5e. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please feel free to leave a comment down below. Also, if you enjoy what you're watching, please subscribe to the channel. And if you need any kind of D&D character, I have over 840 on my character character sheet database on my website at tabletopping.net. 840 pre-made characters, levels 1 to 20, every class, every archetype. Download it, three-page PDF formats. Have fun with them. Try out anything. Until next time, see you guys later. Take it easy.